Welcome to this video guide on how to change the spring eye bolts on your Alexander Dennis vehicle. During this video, you will learn how to correctly change the spring eye bolts and what to avoid during installation. Before you carry out any work, make sure that the vehicle is correctly supported with 3 sets of stands: at the front of the bus, at the front of the rear axle, and the rear of the bus. The first thing to do is remove the suspension link rods on both sides of the bus. This will remove the air from the rear suspension bellows. Then you need to carefully cut the cable ties from the ABS sensor wire that is attached to the U-bolts. This is so the wire isn't attached to the U-bolts when they are removed. Keep the nuts and bolts lubricated as you work. Then use a lever to prise both rear airbags from the top pedestals carefully. Then, we need to undo the pedestal mounting bolts on both sides. Once you have removed them, remove both rear airbags from the vehicle. Remove each of the panhard mounting bolts. Once they are removed, lift the rear axle to release the panhard rod from the mounting. The next step is to undo the panhard rod carrier mounting plate. Then undo the rear shock absorber mounting bolts. Push the shock absorber from the mounting plate. Then, carefully remove the panhard rod mounting plate from the vehicle. Now we will remove the springs. Firstly, support the spring accordingly. Then undo the rear axle U-bolts. Pull the saddle plate away. Then, carefully remove the U-bolts. Remove the spring saddle to make the spring lighter when removed. Now we will remove the spring eye bolts. Once the bolts are removed, it is a necessity to replace them. Slide the spring away and remove from the vehicle. This is a 2-person job. Once you have removed the spring, remove the rubber seals. We now need to check the bushes being correctly clamped. Fit a new bush into the aperture. Do not fit to the spring or tighten up the bolt. Check the gap with a set of feeler gauges. If the bush has 0.25 mm or less gap between the chassis rail and mounting brackets, then the bush can be fitted to the spring. If the bush has a gap of 0.25 mm or more, then wear has occurred on the mounting faces. As such, the mounting bracket and chassis boss must be replaced. Now we can replace all fixings with new parts. It is very important that the suspension is at normal ride height and vehicle weight on the wheels when you retort the nuts. The spring eye bolts can have a small amount of axle grease applied to the shaft of the bolt if required. Take care not to get any on the threads, as this can affect the torque value. Ensure that all holes are free from grease and debris before refitting any bolts, as this can also directly affect the torque figure. Follow the vehicle manual guidelines for the correct torque values. A couple of important tips. As stated in the service manual, the rear spring mounting should be checked every 3 months, or 6,000 miles, or as part of the normal monthly checks required on PSV vehicles. Clean the spring saddle U-bolt threads with a wire brush. The stated torque should only be applied to the nut. Do not apply the stated torque, or tighten the bolt via the head of the bolt. If the face of the bracket is not flat, but is bowed, then this would indicate that wear has occurred on the bracket, and it would need to be replaced. When refitting the panhard beam to spring nuts, please ensure M12 Nor lock washers and M12 Durlock nuts are fitted on the underside of the nut. Chassis built pre-May 2014 will not have these, but it would be good practice to ensure these are used. You have now completed this video guide on how to change the spring eye bolts correctly. Always use genuine Alexander Dennis parts to ensure correct performance and reliability of your vehicle. The parts shown in this module are listed to the right. Take note of the parts number to find it on the ADL Parts website. Remember, good maintenance is key when it comes to vehicle performance. Thank you for watching.